All right, folks, welcome back to the Live at a Dollar Podcast Network. This is Radio Jordan. As you can see, I have a very special guest here, someone from the hobby. Forget about what else he does, and you guys all know that because there's basketball on the table. You know, this is Grant Williams, NBA basketball player, but hobby enthusiast. He's one of the best now in the hobby. We love. First off, Grant, thanks for coming to Radio Jordan. Thanks for coming to the backyard in general. You guys will see the content or had seen the content so far of what we did today with Grant. We had a hell of a time with him today in Grant's house in there as well. But let me ask you this before we start anything. What got you into the hobby craze? We could talk about basketball. We could talk about your life. I'm so interested to see what got you so into this hobby and what got you so crazy about
it. It started growing up and collecting Pokemon, but then when I got older, I got back into the hobby, collected a Mewtwo at the National a couple years back in partnership with eBay, ripped the box, and I was like, okay, get back into collecting. And eventually, 2 years later, Fanatics happens. And I'm like, all right, cool. You know, normally I'm collecting Pokemon, going table to table, but this is a sports show. So they said, hey, have you ever ripped sports? I said, not really. I didn't really grow up ripping it. And they said, you want to try? I said, sure. I don't know anything about it, but absolutely.
Right.
So started some hit parades, some on chasers, and I hit my teammate, which was Jason Tatum at the time, former teammate actually, because I had just signed to Dallas. And so I knew to Dallas, and I was like, okay, just trying different things. And I said, I want to rip my year. So walked around the show, ended up buying some 2020, which was Isaiah Stewart. I ended up buying a couple of other products. And I walked to Mojo, and they had a 2018-19 National Treasures and a 2019-20.
Wow.
So I remember signing them myself, but I was like, I never really understood why the value was what it was. So I was like, all right, so I'll buy my box. I think it was like $3,000, which is Zion, Ja, rookies, but I was really just chasing myself. And then 2018-19, which was $10,000. I was like, why is it so expensive? But at the same time, I was like, sure, let's do both. And it was kind of like a whimsical buy, which is crazy when you're talking about that type of numbers or that type of money. But I think it's just something I was feeling because I had some good luck, good heat running from hitting the JT.
Got to run with it.
Anthony Edwards acetate. So I had some runs. So I was like, all right, cool. Ripped the 2019-20, dud. I had Kyle Guy, no offense to my guy, but like in terms of he was out of the league at the time.
We know we're chasing
these boxes. I was even chasing myself, so I was upset. And then I ripped 18-19. I said, okay, so if I rip this, what would be needed to even just get my money back, or even just feel good about the rip, even if it's not getting my money back, but at least feel good about what you hit.
Right.
They said if you hit a Trae Young, if you hit like a couple names, they said. I said, okay, cool. Then no one said Luka, and so I ripped the product. I see like this Rick Fox Celtics jersey. I see a Nate Tiny Archibald, which I was like, I can give this to my dad. When I pull up the Nate Tiny Archibald, I see blue, so I'm like, Mavericks. Has to be Mavericks. There's not many other blue teams, or Magic, but it was the Magic. It said Mavericks. So I was like, okay, so it's either Tyrell Terry. And I said 18-19, that's Luka. But I was like,
no way. Yeah,
so
no way.
Pull it up. I see out of 10. I was like, okay. And then I see Luka Doncic. And I was like, holy crap, my new teammate.
Right.
And so I FaceTime him on the spot. He was in Slovenia at the time, so he didn't pick up. But I talked to him later on that day. And I remember like it was yesterday. I was the elation. Like, everybody was screaming around me. Everybody was going crazy.
I can't even imagine.
It's a card that would have been my grail, but I said I know him. So like I have his jersey. So I was like, you know what? Let's move this and find a grail like the Kobe or other autos. I would love collecting growing up. So that's what started the crave. And then from then on, been tied into sports, tied into Pokemon, doing both.
That is incredible. Like to me, I think it's an incredible story because it's a guy who's plays professional basketball, knows the guys, like you said, calling Luka on the spot when you pull a card like that. Like, that's crazy to us because here, obviously, the backyard or in the hobby in general, there are chasers. You open up a box, you know what you're looking for. We pull off a box that's 2013 like we did in the room. Yeah. We know we're looking for Giannis. We pull it out. We know who we're looking for. I think it's crazy, though, that not even knowing it could be Luka in the box or not even realizing it could be out of 10 for Luka, and you pulled it there and called him right away. I think that's great. I know Kobe's one of your favorites.
Yes.
How big of a Grail collection do you think you want to build for him? Is that your Grail guy? Is that like the guy, if you had to PC one guy?
My Grail guy would be Steph.
Okay.
Because I'm a Charlotte kid.
Right.
Like, I grew up, he went to Charlotte Christian. I went to Providence Day. I'm cool with the Curry family. And
that's awesome.
I played with Seth. So it's kind of funny that would be my Grail because, like, technically I know, like, the family of him as well. But he's a little bit over my age, I would say. And also, as much as I've competed against him, like, he got the best of me the one time in the finals.
Okay.
It's tough.
Okay.
But at the same time, he's a great human being, treats his family well, and it's probably the one hole of the career. And then Kobe was it because of my brother. Like, those are the two that kind of stuck in my mind. Outside of that, I would say for me, it'd be like a Charles Barkley as well, who doesn't sell well.
Love
but it's
it,
like
right.
I love Charles. You know, Chuck was one of the guys that like round amount of rebound, my height, my
Right,
size, my
right.
position. So those are probably my 3 personal grails that I'd hold on for a long time and probably not really move.
So for my 13th birthday, me and my best friend, we were card shopping every day. Every single day, it was after school to the card shop. It was the weekends, 9 a.m. We're there when it opened up. New packs, fresh packs. Mike Chase was the Ken Griffey rookie, Frank Thomas rookie.
Yeah.
In those years, that's kind of a little bit older, but that's the way it was. And so for my 13th birthday, my best friend's mom said, in one hand, I have 1 card. In the other hand, I have 5 cards. I was chasing at the time as a youngster all the Dream Team rookies. I wanted to get all the Dream Team, original 92 Dream Team. Mike, Magic, Larry, I wanted them all. She had Barkley. That's our light in the back. Don't worry, Buzz. She had Barkley, Malone, Stockton, Pippen, Mullen. I think if there was one more, not. Let's just say it was those 5 in one hand, and Jordan in the other. Now remember, this was 1992, 93. The Jordan rookie at that time probably was a $500 card, the one in her hand, but the other ones were like $800. She goes, "Which hand do you want?" Which hand do you think I picked?
5.
I picked the 5.
Oh,
I picked the 5. I don't know if that was a Jordan
so
10, 9, or 8.
What did she do with the Jordan?
She took him from the case, put him in her hand, and said, "You pick the one, I buy the hand." And she handed the Jordan back to him and gave me the 5 there. Right. That is the reaction I get every time I tell a story. But the fact you brought up Barkley, oh no, Barkley was one of those 5.
Barkley's still one of them.
So
that makes me feel good.
Right. So Barkley's my
Personally.
grail card. Like Barkley's my big card. Now
There you
I chase, as you can know, I'm really good friends with Udonis. I knew him since college of Florida. So he's my guy. Dwayne, I've met a couple times. It's always nice. But I'm a Miami guy, South Florida guy. Marino, Wade, those are my chases at this point. But that's my oh my God story.
That's oh my
from
God.
the hobby.
That hurts me for you.
Right.
Even though I would say like you have your team, the Heat. I would say mine's the Eagles, and then like I would say like I have a cool. I'm still waiting. I hope it's a redemption. It's a redemption national treasure. Steph Curry, Chris Paul dual auto.
Whoa.
NT, and I'm just praying it actually fulfills. Because that's the card, like, for me, I grew up playing for Chris Paul.
Right.
At his AAU team, and then Steph being the Charlotte kid, like, that would be the card that you'll never see leave my collection.
That's pretty
so
nasty, right?
Hoping that it ends up fulfilling. Hopefully, I don't have to wait for Panini to fulfill that for the next 30 years of my life.
Right.
I'm willing not to take any cards in exchange and just wait for that card to put
okay.
out.
So we'll cross our fingers.
Cross
we'll
our
hope
fingers.
for you as that well. So Pokemon's what got you into everything, right?
Yes.
Because I saw even today when we were in the yard, you ripped some Pokemon cards that were here. That's what got you like the craze, right? Because obviously you said before it wasn't sports cards. How nuts was that back in the day compared to where it is now? Because you've now seen it from kid Grant Williams to adult buying boxes and cases of
Let's just say
Pokemon.
it's ridiculous because my mom actually, she claims she doesn't, but either it was lost during a flood of our shed or she threw them away. One of the two. But she claims that it was lost in the flood and we tossed them. But I don't believe that.
Right.
But let's just say that was where I started with collecting in terms of like we were always playing the Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh games.
Right.
So we were trading everything else,
Sure.
But at the same time, I was also collecting pristine cards. So it was a mix of both. So to lose all of that kind of had to make me restart today. And it makes even so, I still have my sets that I will chase and go after.
Right.
But I feel like I'm more attached to sports now.
Yeah, I would imagine so at this point now because you're more interested. There are a lot of guys that maybe around the league, just the NBA or other sports that are into cards as kind of much as you. Because right now it looks like when I kind of search Insta, when I go through the hobby stuff of everybody, you're probably one of the biggest ones now in sports that's a hobby guy as well. How many other guys, even personally, that you know that do this kind of stuff? I know I saw you on the phone before. I'm not going to tease you on the phone with and who you're talking to about another rip coming up. You can mention that if you want. But I think it's fascinating when guys are collecting guys that you either play against, play with. Like that to me is such a cool thing. Us in the room, we're chasing our favorites. We're chasing the money cards. You could be chasing a guy that you played on Tuesday night, and now you got to go back and see him next Tuesday.
Absolutely.
Also. Right.
So there's a couple of guys in the hobby, especially in the league. There's Karl-Anthony Towns. He's really getting into it.
Teaser, by the way, that was who he was on the phone with before. I'm just letting you guys know, right?
Zach LaVine is huge.
Really?
No one would ever know.
Right. Wow.
But Zach LaVine's collection. It's nice. We talked about it after a game, and I was like, wow. No, I would never know because he doesn't post it. It's just all stuff he has. Jake LaRavia, you have Jared McCain's getting into it now.
Right, we saw him at the National as
and
well, right?
A lot of baseball players love collecting.
Yeah.
They love cards, but they also, I feel like baseball's a different animal, different beast.
Yeah, it is.
They're prospecting. They're going all the way down to the minors because they played against them or pitched against them or they hit on them. It's very interesting because they all come from the same ecosystem, farm systems.
Right.
Versus basketball, we watch college, but really into the pros. So until you play against them yourself, you don't really have that full backing.
Right.
And like by then it might be either too late or too soon. So like you want to make sure you do it the right way, or you played with them. Like for me, it was like Derek Lively. I started PCing him from the moment that I met him,
Right.
and I was like, this kid's gonna be really good. And when he was Luka, crazy. I still think he's gonna be really good. But at the same time, we'll see what that Dallas team looks like because it's going to really determine what his trajectory of the player, especially as a big, will be.
All right, so now I'm going to go into sports, transition from that. You must either saw it on the ticker, got a text from one of your boys, whatever it was. Luka traded to the Lakers.
Yeah.
What was your first thoughts?
I was laying in bed beside my girlfriend. I thought it was fake.
Right. So did I. I had to wait till at least another Shams.
Yep.
Like I was checking Shams' name on Twitter to make sure no one put like an extra M
or something like that.
Right. Something. Right.
I literally was sitting beside my girlfriend and we're about to fall asleep. It's like 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night. And I get a text from CJ McCollum, Andre Iguodala, and we're like, "Yo, what just happened?" I was like, "What?" And so I go and check social media. I'm like, "No way." And so I call all the people that I know. I'm like, "Is this true? Is this true?"
Mm-hmm.
We're calling friends, like, "Yo," talking about like this is about to happen. And first, it's like the reaction is, "Why didn't they get more?" Then the next reaction is like, "Why did they trade him?" Next reaction was like, "Damn, Luka's in LA. Luka Magic in LA." Like it's all that stuff, kind of wave of emotion, just as much of a fan happening.
Sure.
As a player that competes against him, it's like this is gonna be fun to play against, but also goodness,
Could be scary.
could be nasty.
Right.
Like,
LeBron and Luka
on
a given night could both go for 40 or 50 in the game, dominate a game.
Yeah.
It's like when the playoffs started in the Western Conference. When I saw the Lakers, I'm thinking, wow, if Luka and LeBron are healthy, like that's a tough matchup for anybody. I don't care how deep a team is.
And I was like, what does that mean? Does LeBron get traded in a year?
Right.
That was my thoughts. It's like if they brought Luka, I don't see LeBron being there for much longer. I see LeBron there for a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe, but I don't see him there after 2-3 years.
Right. God, so how much more does LeBron have in the tank?
I think LeBron plays till Bryce gets there, in my opinion.
Really?
I think he plays 1 year at Bryce, and then he's like, yeah, I did all I was supposed to do. Look at my resume.
Boys in the league, right?
I play with both of my sons. It's something that only King Griffey can say.
Right. I was about to say, like, that's a nasty. I mean, I can't imagine that happening. But then in the back of my mind, now that you said that, yeah, it sounds like a perfect plan for LeBron. Play, get the other kid in the league. Now you got two sons in the league, and now I'm done. Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything. I'm glad in the sunset.
All right, so I think I heard you say it before. I'm one of the older guys here in the building. If someone asks me who my GOAT is, I have a shirt. I wear it in here. I get yelled at all the time. It's got a big picture of Mike with six rings on his fingers. It's got a crown on his head. I rock around here, and literally people throw rocks at me because LeBron is theirs. I'm not asking you because LeBron's still in the league and you still got to play against him. Is Michael or LeBron one on your list if you had to have it?
Mike is always going to be one on my list. No, Grant
is the answer to that six?
It's
okay.
It's hard to argue that.
No, right. Of course.
It's like, and then also he took 2 years off. So what would it look like? Would he be 8 for 8?
I mean, come on. How could you not think that would happen?
That would be the most ridiculous streak of any person in
all time.
Even 3-peats are difficult to accomplish.
Right.
Back then they might have been easier, but even so, like nowadays you probably won't see a lot of them.
Right.
But like it's just hard to compare. And I think Bron has the best career, like longevity-wise, and stuff of that nature.
He's at a high level of 40 right now.
I look at winning, and I say, who's the best winner? Who made the most impact? And you could argue that's Bill Russell and those guys. But at the same time, like Mike was the epitome of he changed the entire league and what the NBA looks like, and for not only inspired, probably the second best, third best player of all time as well.
Right.
Like LeBron's probably inspiring the next best player of all time too. But we've seen Kobe. We're waiting for the next Bron.
Right. Like that's interesting. I thought one of the funny quotes that I saw, whether it was Scotty or Michael, someone asked, like, what was your best game 7 in the finals, like scoring sheet? And Mike goes, I don't even know what that is. What's a game 7 in the finals? I've never been there.
Right.
And I was like, woo, what a way to end the conversation.
What a way to walk off.
What a way to walk off at that point. Guy in the league right now, if you weren't playing, you'd pay to go watch.
I'd pay to go watch.
Like you got to go buy a ticket right now because X player is playing tonight in Miami against the Heat. You want to see this guy play against the Heat tonight. Who's it going to be? Unless it's someone on the Heat and you can make me happy.
It's not someone on the Heat. I'm
okay,
sorry.
So don't make me happy. Right?
It'd be probably it's guys like Ant. It's guys like, because like the thing is, I like the guys who compete and would rather get into like a brawl and
like I like
they're not like flopping around, they're not falling around. They're like the guys that like Kawhi Leonard still want to see him play. Yeah. Like there's guys that just are mesmerizing. KD. Oh, I just forgot about KD because KD like he doesn't like flail. He's pure. When he gets fouled, he gets fouled.
Right.
But like he's a purist. Like Steph, him, they're guys that just are like they make basketball look so easy.
Right.
Like fluid. Right. Like and they just like make it something like it's poetry. And it's something that, as a basketball fan, it'd be crazy or ludicrous for you to say that these two aren't two of the best at their position ever.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, like, going back, even at their current state, current age, I would still be saying I want to see them play.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I don't care if Steph's got 2 years left or 5 years left. I would still pay right now to go watch him play. And KD did the same thing. Listen, as a Heat fan, the whole time when there's KD trade rumors, it was like, oh my God, bring him down here. I'd love to have him for a year or two, whatever it is. One of the most pure shooters, both those guys, Steph, of all time.
And I want to see JT in a playoff environment. That's what I'd say, because JT during regular season, I still love watching play. I think the Boston's just that good, though, so it may be tough to watch. Versus in a playoff environment, he turns into a different animal.
Yeah,
like
it looks like it.
He turns into a guy that, like, even when he was during the regular season, you see it happening sometimes, but it's more potent in the playoffs.
There's a switch to turn on when the playoffs start for those guys, for like the JTs, like the world, the Stephs, the LeBrons, the KDs. You just can tell. Listen, I'll bring up a moment. It's one of the great. Jimmy, I was going to say playoff Jimmy down here for Miami. Obviously, it ended on a sour note for Heat fans and for the organization and for Jimmy down here. But Jimmy in the bubble, Jimmy before that, Jimmy when he doesn't shave. Like I said, we have national treasures upstairs. I said I'm not shaving until we're out of national treasures. It's been a week since I've shaved. I have not shaved. Every time they order more, I'm like, I can't shave again today. But playoff Jimmy to me was just one of those dudes. The switch got turned on. I don't care if it was the bubble. I don't care if it wasn't in the bubble. The Jason Tatum stuff, all of a sudden he goes for 50 in a game. He just has one of those nights. And of course we could bring up Michael and Kobe and LeBron and Steph and all that, but I'm talking about other guys that there is that switch. And we always talk about it. Any fan will say, oh, come on, I don't want to hear it. There's not that switch. Grant, you've seen guys you played against and with guys like that. There is a switch.
There's a playoff risers, what you call them. Playoff risers, playoff fallers, and like playoff risers are the ones that, like, no matter the moment they may have a bad game, but like over the course of a series, they're at a different level. Like I always claim that, like, I might not be a playoff riser in terms of scoring, but I'm a guy that, like, if you look at my metrics over my career, like in terms of performance, it's like people always say he's a guy you want to take into a playoff series
100%.
And compete with you and like stuff like that. It's like I feel like Jimmy's, like, there's a lot of guys that are like that, like, even Don mentioned Jamal Murray. Like, Jamal Murray throughout the entire course of a season, you might be like, is he even a top 10 point guard?
Right.
And then it's like, he gets to the playoffs, he's like, he might be a top 3 point guard in the league.
Last night, right?
You know, it's
like, what happened?
absurd.
Right.
So, like, guys like that, where you're just like, they're just, they have that competitive edge to take to another level and leave it all on the line.
So, right when you were bringing up what you said before, and I'm going to let you ride in a minute, but I think it was funny because it's, as I wear the Heat shirt with Udonis and Wade on it, we talk about Heat Celtics all the time, bet those rivalries back in the day. You are one of those guys that if you're on my team, I love you, and you're not a hate you.
Yeah.
Like you were, and I'm saying it to your face because you're laughing because you've heard it before or know before. But you are one of those guys that will come into the game, and I'm like, ugh. I'm like, here comes Grant Williams. Here comes 6 points off the bench immediately. Here's 4 rebounds, probably a block. He's going to take a charge. Like, get this guy out of the game. I hate him. Yeah, you're on my team. I'm like, okay, put Grant in.
Let's get after it.
How many? There's guys like that all over the league.
Guaranteed.
I mean, there's guys from every team. I think that, like,
those are the best role players. The ones that people know their names.
You need those guys, though.
If you didn't, you wouldn't know them. Like, they might not know them in the regular season. They might not, but then they look up and you're like, oh, this guy's coming in.
Right.
Like, I remember I used to, like, playing against Miami all the time. And Bam, I would guard him. Bubble series.
Oh.
I remember with Brad, like, it was yesterday when we were in a bubble, and I got subbed out, and I was like cursing Brad out. I was like, "Don't take me out. We got 4 minutes left in the game 6." And next, you know, Bam goes on like an 8-0 run by himself against Tice, and Brad's like, "Yeah, I should have taken you out." I'm like, "Nah, you shouldn't have.
You should have left me."
So like, there's stuff like that where it's like that hyper competitive mentality. There's gonna be guys like that across multiple teams, and who was that person this year? Like a guy like Aaron started, but Aaron Nesmith was the guy that people were like, holy crap. Andrew Nembhard, like, there was guys that you look at and you're like, these guys, like, I don't want to see them play. I don't want to see them in. Casey Wallace, when he came off the bench with Alex Caruso. Oh my goodness, Alex Caruso for sure.
Caruso's definitely one of those guys.
He's one of those guys like you love to have him, but you're playing against him, you're like, get him off the court. Somebody screen him. Someone get him off of someone.
Hit him with the shoulder. Do something. I don't want it. Right, exactly. That's so funny. He said, "I'm fun." It's a good conversation having it with someone who's like that guy.
Yeah.
Because as I've grown to know you from the National and here, I love you already. But God, there were times where I was cursing you out on TV, and I'm so happy to tell you in person because I'd rather do that. I told Kobe's with me all the time here for the podcast network, that one of my worst, embarrassing, and greatest moments of my life was I'm a Heat fan and I hated Allen Houston. Allen Houston, my whole life I hated him because of that shot he hit in the playoffs, the bounce off the back of the rim twice, falls down, Zoe falls on the floor. I was crushed. I saw him at the airport. My wife picked me up from the airport. I know you're already laughing because you know where this is going. I walked to the car. I put my bag in the car. He's waiting for a car service to come pick him up. I said to my wife, I'm like, there's a guy right there that I literally hate more than anything in the whole world. and not like a hate, like I want,
Yeah.
but like a sport hate,
sport
a fanatic
despise.
hate.
Yeah.
She goes, well, what are you gonna do? I'm like, just put down the window. She puts down the window. I'm like, Alan, and he looks and he goes, does one of these. I'm like, I hate you, and I flick them off, and I go, run, run. I go, but you know what, Grant, I felt so much happiness.
Felt so much better. It felt like you actually got it done. Now you can then say,
this
all
was
right.
me, Grant, out in the car the whole way home. I'm like,
He's probably just like sitting there like,
he's like, who is that guy who just screamed and told me to go bleep myself? Like, who is that guy? I did it. Grant, it felt good. You were probably one of those guys during those Heat Celtics playoffs that if I saw you, I would say, Grant, how you doing? And I would have flicked you off and ran away. So it was one of my moments. Like, I'm tearing up because it was one of my moments that I just needed to have as a sports fan. And listen,
I've had it happen to me. That's why I
okay,
laugh. That's
right.
why
You're
I
like,
laugh,
you knew
because
where
I
it was
know
going.
exactly where it's
You
coming
knew where
from.
it was
It's like,
going, right.
yeah, that was from a series.
Yeah.
Don't know where it's from. It is from a hard foul on one of their favorite players, or it's from a
the
series.
shot at the end, the
Like,
bounce off the backboard. to
Game
win
7,
the game.
when I showed up to Milwaukee, it was Milwaukee. Actually, now I think about it, I was in Milwaukee.
Right.
And walking down to get food right near whatever that hotel is. Starts with a K. And walked around the corner to get food. There's this 17-year-old kid. It's like, hey, Grant. And I was like, I just looked around. I was like,
Right.
you talking to me? He's like,
Right.
go Bucks.
Right.
And then Brett drove off. And I was like, yep.
You know how good he felt that
He
night?
probably felt amazing. He felt
You
like it was
laughed and didn't know what was going on, and that guy's relief. It's like it's like everything in the world didn't matter to him at that moment because he got it off his chest.
That's what
and
sports
it's-
is all about,
Right,
in my opinion.
the
That's what you
fanatic
gotta
part
have
of it,
You gotta
right.
have that.
Grant, I'm going to tell you this. I want to do it again with you. I'm going to keep in contact with you.
Please do.
This was a lot of fun. I like talking sports and life with you, but the hobby is such a cool thing to talk with you and I share together because I'm just back into it. Like I said, I did sports radio for 2 decades plus, came here, and now I'm a breaker. And now I'm in the hobby. Now we're in the podcast network here for Backyard. And it was really cool to see you walking around at the National and people coming up to you because you were holding your cards or whatever, and they wanted to talk to you about the cards.
Right.
Forget about you're playing in the NBA. You're in the hobby. You're at the National. That's where you want to be. So that's awesome. So I thank you for sitting down. Thank you for spending the day here at the Backyard. You're going to see all the content, by the way, on Insta and all our social media feeds. Make sure, if you haven't already seen it, to go back and check it. But this was something I wanted to do with Grant. We were planning on doing a Zoom call, but the fact that he's here, even better at that point. So, Grant, I appreciate your time today. I'm glad you're in the hobby. I'm glad you're not playing the Heat in the playoff series, so I could love you a little bit more.
You never know. Might bring the Hornets Heat series.
No,
back.
I know. I already
Just
know
saying.
that's coming at this point now. Now that you're on the Hornets, it's going to end up happening. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to have to flick you off once or twice, Grant, but you know it's in love.
There we
and nothing more than that. So I appreciate you coming on. We're at a Live at $1 podcast network, as always. The one and only Grant Williams from the hobby and the NBA. But from the hobby, joining us here. This is Radio's Yard. Make sure you like, you subscribe, and all that good stuff here. For Grant Williams, I am Radio. This has been Radio's Yard on the Live at $1 podcast network.